allegiance to the States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to do a call to order where we're going to do counting and roll call. So Ryan Zellick here, Alex Giannone here, John Dyken here, and Melissa Urnaga
Here.
and Dave Rogan here. Okay.
You have four.
Okay. So audience of citizens, do we have anybody that would like to speak?
Carrie Tina.
Please rise, state your name. Would
Carrie Tina.
you like to say anything, Terry? Thank you.
For that right this minute.
It's the audience of citizens. We would love to hear from you.
I'm here because I disagree with what you're looking into. Or we can put town managers, and they're not doing that. So why, what are we doing? I mean, we have a gentleman that's doing a hell of a job. Today, I already heard about the cadets that he got. These cadets are going to the cemeteries and putting flags. They didn't do that before. He's the one who did this for us. He's the one who's making Berlin, putting us on the map of other towns looking at. And what are we doing about it? I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on in this town.
I appreciate your coming to the meeting and stating your approval of the chief's work.
Yes.
Thank you very
Well,
much.
yes, because I mean, I've called him many times. I'm cabinet of business and sometimes I have problems and he's right there. You know,
Wonderful.
and do we get there with everything? No, we don't get it with every other person. Never did got it before.
Well, I really appreciate your stating your.
The people in this town are very lucky to have a person like that. Because it's for the people, for the kids, making those kids be busy so they're not hitting the streets. I mean, for them now to do the flags in the cemeteries, I mean, how many kids would do that? But he got them going and doing this. Amen.
Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
your comments. Would anybody else like to speak?
Hi, my name is Mary Catherine LaRose, 26 Woodruff Lane in Kensington. And I wanted to talk tonight about what I consider a very outdated part of our charter, which requires certain officials in town to live here. It may have made sense a long time ago, and in the last charter revision, we tried to have it changed. However, at that time, it was, unfortunately, there were several things on the ballot to change on the charter, and a couple of them were very controversial. So therefore, people just said no to everything. I just think it's really outdated. I think in these times, whether someone lives 5 minutes from here or 50 minutes from here, you know, it doesn't matter. I've gone back and forth to Danbury to adopt a dog a couple of times, and it's an hour. So it shouldn't be an issue. I think you want the best person for the job, which I believe we got when the chief was chosen 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, something like that.
November
21. So I think it was a very thorough search, and I think we got a very good person. I want to see him stay and continue the work that he's been doing. And I think that I hope that you will do a waiver so that he does not have to worry. Another part of that is the family aspect. You're expecting a family to uproot and come to another part of the state. They have their schools, they have their activities, maybe kids, sports, doctors, everything is in another location. And then you want them to uproot here for a job, and maybe the job's only 4 years. Maybe it's not longer than 4. I don't know. He doesn't know. So it's a lot to ask of a family. Your church is somewhere else, you know, so you're asking an awful lot of people to uproot. If you're going from Newington to Berlin, not such a big deal. But where you're talking about another part of the state, it is a big deal for the family. And so he has to consider that. So I feel for that. And I hope that you will be flexible and do a waiver so that our chief can continue the work that he's been doing. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your comments. I appreciate it. Anybody else like to speak? Please
Hi.
stand.
I'm Cheryl Giuseppe, and I've lived in town here for 25 years. I'm sure none of you have even ever seen me in town unless you went to Powerhouse Gym. And you don't know me anyway. I've known Matt McNally for about 8 years now. He was a professor of mine at Goodwin University. Matt McNally is so well respected in the education from WestCon to Goodwin to many other schools, along with the cadets. Matt McNally is a students would wait to see what classes Matt had so that they could be in his class, because not only was Matt a good professor, but he was a good mentor. He was a good teacher. He helped them along in their lives. He had accountability to us. He didn't let us slack. He didn't let us slide. The same way he treats his police officers, whether he was in Danbury or here. He had accountability and mentored you to be a better person. Many kids left that school feeling that they got more out of a class with Matt McNally than they got from many other professors at Goodwin University. He's also done the cadet program. He served our country. He's was around during 9/11. He's helped in Hurricane Katrina. His experiences speak millions of words for what he's accomplished and what he brings to this town as a person, as a human being, as a dad, and what he sacrifices every day to go to work as a police officer, as all of you do. So I thank you all for your service. And, you know, I worked in Manhattan myself. I commuted from this town 3.5 hours each way to sell diamonds. And I became the best diamond saleswoman in my industry at that time. Was I committed to my job? Absolutely. Was it a struggle for my family, for me to be gone as a single mom? Absolutely. But I did my job. And nobody gave me a hard time about commuting 3.5 hours each way. Occasionally I was 10 minutes late, the train was late. Didn't make a big deal because I did my job. So I think that that's an important factor. You need to let somebody do their job and do their job well. And especially of a man of character and integrity as Matt McNally. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Thank
very much. Would anybody else like to speak? Please state your name.
Donna Beach, 1218 High Road, Kensington. I'll make this brief. I've been in meetings all day. I'm here to support Chief McNally and the rest of PD. I think that there are situations where our deputy chief or our lieutenants and captains and whatever else we have in terms of the echelon can handle those situations if the chief is not available. We, for 25 years in this town, we did not have a chief that lived in this community. They lived maybe closer than Danbury, okay, but we managed just fine. I don't know what the ins and outs are in terms of the contract or lack of or verbal that we had when we hired him on. But it took us a while to get the best person that was out there to serve this community. I hear nothing but good things about him. So I'm hoping that, and whatever you people decide, I will certainly respect. I think we have a great commission as well as a great department. But I hope that you decide to give him this waiver and give him the next, what are we talking, 18 months? I mean, this is scandalous that we're even thinking about something like this. Not okay.
Very true.
We're better than that. That's it.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak? Please stand and state your name.
Sure, Sandra Coppola, 66 Heritage Drive in Kensington. I also just wanted to speak and give my support to the chief. I think he's done some great things in the town. I know recently, and I can't think of the name of the award, but I know we were recently awarded for some of the education that's been going on in the police department. I think they've been more visible. So I think that's a really great thing to have. The other things I just wanted to say that I'm taking out another level or another turn. It's my understanding that at some point it was discussed prior about maybe giving the chief a waiver about living in town, but I guess it was an issue with process. And my understanding is that the intent at that time was to grant the waiver, and I'm just hoping that, you know, that's taken into consideration as well. I don't know who was on the commission at that time or not, but that was the original intent to do. You know, different things potentially get in the way, which I understand. But I'm hoping that that is what's, you know, that would be my preference, because I'd like to see the chief stay. So again, I agree with Donna. I think we have a good commission. Whatever you decide, we will respect. And I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. And that would be the end of the audience of citizens. Okay, we'll be moving on to approval of minutes.
I found a mistake, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
In old business. It's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, starts with the 7th line. So it says that Chairman Rogan explained they commuted with the town attorney D'Onofrio and it thought the commission. I think it should be he thought the commission. And then the next word is would. I think it should be should. And he thought the commission should be available. Yeah. And that is all the grammar police found.
Anybody else, any of the other commissioners find anything?
On page 2, under support services divisions. The second to last line, I just think we need to capitalize Kate's last name. Well, it's lowercase.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, so we have the corrections to the minutes from March 19th. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Need a
I
second.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on, we have old business, chief's contract, residency. And I would like to ask the commission for a motion to open this.
I make a motion to waive the residency requirement in the chief's contract until the end of its term or his term.
Second,
Second.
okay, discussion.
So there's a written waiver. My understanding is that the police chief's contract, since it was signed in 2021, every iteration thereof since then has required that there be a written waiver. There was a meeting, I believe, in 23 or maybe 24, in which the commission intended to grant the waiver. Didn't do so for 2 reasons. Number one, it was done so in executive session, so that it wasn't a valid vote. And it's not in dispute that a written waiver was not issued. We are in open session right now. It's on our agenda. It's been moved, seconded. We're in discussion. We have a written waiver. So if we're prepared to grant the chief a waiver, we are in the exact position to do so right now. And I intend to support this waiver. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners like to speak? Please.
I think it was a couple of months ago now. This came up at a discussion here. And then a month later, we invited the town attorney here to parlay to us the nuances of the contract, what was required, and just state the overall legal process. This is a matter of a contract provision. And the provision required the chief to move to town with the authority by the police commission to waive it. But the waiver needed to happen in a correct manner and a correct procedure. We've come to understand it wasn't done that way, so we asked the town attorney to draft this exact waiver for us. And out of respect for the town council, I know town councilors here, it was either brought to our attention or we brought it up ourselves that we wanted to speak to the town council just to, out of respect, put everyone on the same page. So at least if the town council were asked something about this, they would know exactly what it's about instead of hearing hearsay or secondhand information. This is not a matter of the chief's character. It is not a matter of the chief's work quality, ethics. However, it is certainly significant because, you know, with only 18, 19 months left to go, I believe somebody in the audience of citizens said it would be scandalous to, you know, make the chief, you know, to not go forward with this. Additionally, I would say that we're correcting a wrong. A wrong is being made right. If hopefully the chief gets waived from his requirement or right to move here. It is, from what I understand, something that was communicated to the chief previously that he did not have to move here. It was, whether it was verbal, written, or what have you, it was an affirmative statement made to him, which he reasonably relied upon. And, you know, to my knowledge, I've only been here for, I think, 5-6 months now. There's no known issues to me, and I implore the other commissioners to prove me wrong, but that the distance he commutes has been any sort of issue with respect to getting to scenes or responding to the town or what have you. Furthermore, although it's not the case, his character isn't being called to question, his morality, his work ethic, whatever. I certainly think it bodes well for him that every time we as a commission, at least every time I ask the chief of something, he's very responsive. He gets the work done. He's doing good for the town. And, you know, again, I concur with you, Commissioner. I plan to support the waiver. Right? Does that make sense? Support.
Perfect
Yeah.
sense. You hit every nail right on the head. Commissioner, you're not like.
I understand the need to, this is all contractual and we need to right the wrong as has previously been stated, but I want to take the opportunity to thank the chief for the work that he has done and support him staying on. You've, you know, responded to everything that was asked of you throughout the interview process and exceeded expectations in a great many ways. And I agree with what Representative Page said, that it would be scandalous to end this contract over the waiver. You've shown that you were responsive and that the distance is not an issue in terms of your job performance. So I am also in support of this waiver.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Uranaga. Any other commissioner like to speak?
All said very well. Echo many of the comments said. One thing I do want to point out is that was said earlier in audit citizens, there's nothing in the town charter that requires the chief to reside in town.
Just the town.
Just
Mhm.
so
Sorry.
it's okay. Just want to make that clear for the record. It's all good. So
It's contractual.
Correct, correct.
Town manager, which we tried to get that changed.
So-
It was gonna try to
I'm sure he'll appreciate it.
I know, I know.
This is recorded.
It's okay.
so I support this and that's all I got to say.
All right, I guess that leaves me, at last, it was referred to me as an organic law of the town, decipher what organic means exactly, but it's clearly not written. We have the right as a police commissioner for the waiver, so this is why we are here. I completely agree with my other commissioners on all their points, and so it's time for a vote, and I would like to do a roll call vote, and our secretary, Jim Billy, will. We need the motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you,
Motioned and seconded.
can you read it one more time? Just,
Yeah, I make a motion to waive the residency requirement in the chief's contract until the end of his term.
Pursuant to the written waiver, that's part of our agenda packet.
Sounds good.
And we need a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Well, you want to do
Oh,
it?
yeah, you want to do roll call?
Yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go alphabetical order from the reverse. So Vice Chairman Zelik,
Aye.
okay. Can I have Commissioner Uranaga?
Aye.
Okay. Chairman Rogan,
Aye.
thank you. Commissioner Giannoni,
Aye.
okay. And Commissioner Dyken,
Aye.
okay. It's unanimous. It's 5 in favor of the waiver, Mr.
The
Chair.
motion carries.
Motion will carry.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Thank you, audience. Thank you for coming.
You didn't say you want to see the rest of our agenda? Are you kidding? Oh, hey, we got a lot of work going on. Got 57 pages here. Oh, hey.
I feel
All
like you
right,
guys wanted.
thank you. Good night. Oh, no. I know. Yeah. They think I live in Danbury. I don't live in Danbury.
It's better that way.
I know that.
Okay. Excellent. Well, circling back.
Sorry for the delay. No, I haven't.
Good. Are we all set? Okay, so we're gonna move on to the verbal on the PD renovations project update. Who would like to take that?
I'll say, we only have a couple little items left on the punch list. We went to open the garage door yesterday, right, when the door wouldn't close again. Some minor things, but, we are pretty much finished with the first project. The
Everyone here?
officers has already started moving into the locker rooms. They're using the weight room, which is phenomenal. That was great, great setup, and everybody's getting a lot of use out of it, including our civilian workers too. Next week, next week's the 23rd, we're gonna be meeting with, Brian Humes, the architect, to talk about the second project and, looking to make some adjustments and changes. I did see on the agenda that they took $75,000, or they're gonna take $75,000 next Tuesday from our building contingency to move it to,
VNA.
the VNA to do some work in there. So I think that might be some of the reasons that we're gonna be sitting down to look at the second, I keep saying project because they don't want to call the phase, so a project and project 2, which doesn't have a name yet, but we're gonna revisit our workflow, because our workflow's changed because with more manpower and some of the things that we've been doing late, different things we want to make sure the designs that were originally looked at were about 8 years old, and things have changed a lot in the past 3.5 years. So that's going to be, we're having a meeting next week. The minor things, there's a very small punch list when the architect shows up on next week's meeting. I'm going to walk with him. There's some things I think that our town guys could do, but they shouldn't do, because you're paying a contractor to make sure the job is done 100%. So we'll point those things out, but they're just very minor cosmetic things. And hopefully we can get on to the second one right away.
Everybody happy with the locker rooms?
Yeah,
Yes.
Did they go with the extra lockers?
they're coming in.
They had to order those, so probably within the next 4 to 6
Yeah.
weeks, we'll get those.
So it's
new
3 on the
men's
left-hand
lockers.
side. They're at
6.
No, 6.
I think
Really?
6.
Any
So
updates on the?
That brings us up to, well, was 12, now we'll have 18 lockers for the women.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And
well,
we have
30% of the
10
police
officers.
workforce in this
10
country is becoming
officers now.
female, so it would make sense to put the lockers in now instead of coming back in 2 years and trying to do it again, So, yeah.
Any update on, we have that beautiful gym. Any update on equipment?
Yeah.
It's in.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it's in.
Excellent.
That's what I've said. They're already
Welcome to
using
Come
it.
down, we
Yeah.
gave a tour to the mayor and the town
And
manager.
the public building
and,
committee guys and all,
ABC.
but we're gonna do an open house on a Thursday night coming up, and I apologize for not having the date, because we had a date, but I think we're gonna have to change that date, so this way we can, our open house, we're doing on a Thursday night, and this way we can use our cadets to escort people in, watch the doors, because it's open, but it's a police department still. So, I think that 2 birds with 1 stone will work
We'll
for
send a
us.
notice out to
Yeah,
everyone.
everybody's gonna get an invite. So, and we're gonna invite the public. We want them to see where their tax dollars are going.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right, so that takes care of the verbal report. PD Communications Project update. Lieutenant Martin, would you like to take that report?
Radio system.
Rob, I
Oh,
put your, here's the report from,
You can just
February. He didn't want to put it in.
So the consoles are in, they're being staged, and programmed down at Norcom next Tuesday, the 22nd. Tom Farr, our dispatch supervisor, along with some people from the state of Connecticut from DSET, are going to Norcom to go over the consoles and go over the setup and do training on them. So once that's done, then Norcom will set up a date when they start installing. There is a holdup in that DSET has changed their base template for the radios, for the programming, the channel programming, and they haven't given that to Norcom yet. So Norcom can't build the channel list until, the state gives them the list. Once they do, it's not gonna be it's not a huge deal. But what we're hoping to do, and I think what they're still planning on doing, is as soon as they get the channel layout finalized, we have our 3 zones of channels done. And we're just waiting for the state's base template for all the other zones. Once they have that, they're gonna come up and program all of our subscriber units, our portables, our mobiles, even before console installation, because we're keeping the old radio system up and running, independent of going to the state system. So it's just a matter of, we can use that until they get the consoles in, and then it's just a matter of the cops changing the channel on their radio, and we're live on the state.
So there's a overlapping transition, so to speak.
It was, and we're gonna leave
We're
the
gonna
old
keep the old
system
one
up
slow.
and running until it forever. You know, until it dies on its own, which could be 5
You
years,
already
maybe
own it.
10 years. We own it, doesn't cost us anything to keep it up and running.
Good
So we're
backup,
gonna have it as a
right?
backup.
Yeah. And we did reach out to all the surrounding agencies to give them opportunities for us to sign in with them too. And we got positive response from everybody. Only 2 agencies said that they have to update their MOUs. So that was, that's been a work in progress there with the other chiefs.
Oh, good.
So,
I heard really good things about the switching to the state system. A lot of PDs that have switched have said good things about it, so hopefully.
I hope so. I sit on a 911
Yeah.
commission. I hear it all every time we have a
Yeah,
meeting.
So I hope that you guys have the same experience.
I think what's gonna happen too is, because we're so centrally located, after we make the switch, it would not surprise me that some of these other agencies that were kind of on the fence are gonna come to see how it works here, and then they're gonna go back, because that's what some of the discussions have been about.
Yeah, from a cost savings perspective, I mean, everything all the way around.
Yeah,
it just makes sense.
Yeah, it is, and it's the future.
Yeah.
We're just gonna get ahead of it.
And luckily for us, the state just put another tower up on the DOT expiration.
Oh, did they?
Which
Which
is
is
a
going to
sweet
give
deal
us,
for us.
it's gonna actually enhance our coverage
Yeah.
Yeah.
from
the
what we
reception
did
should be good.
during the
Yeah.
test. So,
When you say zones, what do you mean by zones? Like there's 3 sections and channels underneath each zone?
yeah, so the knob has 16 different channels.
Yeah,
But there's multiple zones, so that knob on zone 1 is this 16, on zone 2, it's that, you know. a
Oh,
different
got it,
16.
got it.
So basically, it's channel groups.
okay, got it. And it's obviously one for patrol, admin, detectives, superfluous units for like special duty, right?
Yeah, or if we have, because we have so many other agencies come to our town, especially in the summertime with our side jobs and all. And we've never really enjoyed that total interoperability, but with this system, we should be able to have
Yeah.
interoperability with everybody from the state.
So, and I'm sure you have the same radios we have.
Yeah.
6500s. So you could change zones 1, 2, and 3 with this little button here, this ABC button. And what I did in programming these is zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3, channel 1 and channel 16. So no matter where your knob is, as long as you turn it all the way to the end, control 1. So even if somebody bumps a button, gets off zone,
Yeah.
if their switch is in position 1 or position 16, they're going to be on the correct channel. They're going to be on our patrol channel. So there's a lot of officer safety stuff we built into, created the zones, how we laid that all out.
Oh, so you don't end up with like a dead radio situation?
Well, or somebody gets on the, accidentally gets on the wrong channel, or they're scuffling with somebody and their
We can
channel
still
knob
hear it.
gets turned, all they have to do is turn it to the extreme and they're in communication.
You don't need that fine motor control to take it
Yeah,
out.
no.
And if you hit your emergency button, it's gonna default to channel 1, zone 1.
So we all hear it.
So it's gonna, a bunch of stuff that, with the newer radios and with the newer technology. It's a big. Because we're going to over the air reprogramming, over the air key.
Yeah.
It's a huge
That's
improvement
nice, yeah.
over just dead air on the other end of town, right?
Well, yeah, and there was a lot of dead spaces.
I was
Yeah,
gonna
the
say,
schools.
this, you're able to get around in McGee, I know McGee and the high school both have dead spaces with the new system. We don't have that issue anymore, right?
The high school is okay, McGee is
McGee's
probably
not.
going to need
It needs a
A
a
booster.
theater
Yeah.
inside.
It's
All
common for
buildings
those
that are
buildings.
that solid in
Yeah.
structure, you have problems with, because the signal has a hard time getting through, but once we get established, we can check and see if we need boosters inside the
Yeah.
school somewhere.
And we'll
test
put the
that out.
boosters in.
I just remember we had an SRO at the middle school. It was
Yeah.
hard for,
Yeah.
it was hard for him.
It's built into the hillside.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help, the back of the school.
Yeah.
on the First floor.
And I think that's where his office was. It was the backside of the school.
Yeah, but we should be not having the problem down at Orchard anymore. In that
Right,
area,
exactly.
yeah, no divot there.
Because when we break into Meriden, it was at that spot too, right?
Yeah, going right on the border.
But we're going up on H, I, and F.
Yeah.
Systems.
In the zone there, yeah.
So-
Yeah, because the way I have it is we have east, central and west zones and then troops underneath each. But, I know this is a
Yeah.
smaller, just one town, so I didn't know what.
Yeah, we're actually going up on all 3 systems simultaneously because we border I. So if we get somebody way down
From
south,
5 and 15.
you know,
Yeah,
down that way, we'll pick up there's a tower at, the academy. So we'll hit that tower, that's an I tower.
yeah, because I is Meriden, H is here,
Yeah.
and then F is right on.
F is Middletown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because we border three troop areas, we're gonna go up on all three of those troop systems.
Oh, that's good.
You get a pursuit and you could all be on the same station.
Nice. All we have to do is be allowed to pursue.
So everything's though on target for May, so it sounds like. More or less.
Barring
Yeah.
any, other hiccups.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting any issues with
I
the,
was hoping that the radios, the portables and the mobiles would be programmed by now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll.
All right, we're gonna move on to the chief's monthly report. And, would anybody like to comment on the chief's monthly report? Chief, is there anything that you would like to mention?
Are there still 2 sergeants out injured?
Yes.
yes. Well,
Like you.
they're not out, they're in on light duty,
Yeah. Just not on.
they're just not on patrol.
And one patrol officer.
Which Tyler's coming back relatively. soon.
Yeah, I think next week,
Within the next week.
So
Yeah.
we'll be down to one.
and then we'll be down to 1.
Yeah.
And we have, 1 officer on modified duty, and then,
Where's that fall between light duty and regular duty, modified duty? Is it like a different level?
light duty would be based on the conditioning that your doctor gets involved with, or workman's comp or something. Modified duty would be, it gives us the flexibility to have them do certain things and not do certain things. Basically, for all intents and purposes, modified duty is pregnancy duty.
I didn't want to ask that question, but
Good way of putting it.
Yeah. So,
which is something that we've been talking about for a long time.
yeah,
There you go.
and we got it in last year, right
So
at the end of the year, so,
it's essentially up to the employee.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful.
You know,
We used to never have light duty at all.
That's right.
no, you didn't have light duty, we got that in the contract,
Yeah,
that was in the
well, that was a
contract,
big
that was a big deal, so, yeah.
Because
It's been working out.
9 months pregnant, they don't want to be on.
Oh, yeah, well, then
Modified
they don't
duty.
disappear for,
Yeah,
a
right.
length of time.
As somebody who
Yeah.
worked until the end.
On page 3 of 4 of the chief's monthly report, I thought I'd like to just read this one couple of paragraphs here. They found this to be very interesting and very concerning. It's excellent work. It hits the nail on the head, and it reads this way. Earning trust in policing is a slow, deliberate process. It requires consistent demonstrations of fairness, accountability, transparency in all actions taken by law enforcement. Building this trust is grounded in principles of justice, respect for human dignity, and impartiality. It also demands that police officers engage in meaningful and respectful interactions with community members, fostering mutual understanding and collaboration. Research consistently shows that when communities trust their police force, they're more likely to feel secure, satisfied, and engaged with the local law enforcement, leading to improved outcomes in public safety and crime prevention. Says, however, while trust is difficult to earn, it is remarkably fragile and can be easily eroded. A single instance of misconduct, lack of transparency, or an overreaction to a situation can result in a significant breakthrough in public trust. When trust is broken, it is often compounded by suspicion, fear, and loss of legitimacy that can take years to rebuild. That is, I really do think that that's an awesome statement there, and I think that Berlin of all the police departments for the training that we've done, and and ongoing training that we've done a remarkable job on dealing with that situation. I appreciate you putting that in your monthly report.
Agreed.
Mhm.
If there's anything else? Would you like
I
to
just-
comment about the cadet program?
I was gonna say, I just want to give a shout out to the cadet program. I think that all the officers involved and the cadets themselves have worked really hard to build something pretty impressive in a pretty short amount of time. And I'm glad to see that they had the opportunity to celebrate that in a deserving way with an awards dinner for the first time. So kudos to you guys for building a strong program, and kudos to these kids for continuing to show up and do a fast.
Yeah, so it was the first run for that, so I can tell you next year it'll be bigger, better, people being invited and stuff like that, which is really what we had kind of inched them into this, so.
They deserve to be celebrated.
Yeah, we have really some phenomenal cadets, and I think at the back of my report, I've included the
Mhm.
stuff
We did.
from some paperwork from their dinner, but also, and I think it's been out on social media, our top cadet girls, who are the seniors,
Got it.
they're going to tremendous, like, one's going to the FBI for a week. And I ran a program for over 30 years, and it took me 20 years to get somebody to do that in my old program. And here we did it in less than 3 years to have, and that's, they picked, 20 people from thousands across the country to do this. One of our girls was not in there, just informed me she got accepted to Norwich into the cadet corps for her freshman college
That's
next year.
awesome.
And that's an awesome thing for her. And we have the girl that made lieutenant, it's the highest ranking cadet we have right now. She's going to the counterterrorism program in SUNY Albany for Homeland Security.
Really?
Yeah. Another very excellent
Is
program.
is it okay to ask her age?
18.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she's 18.
Really?
She's a senior. She's graduating this year.
Wow, that's,
June 13th?
Yeah.
so she's hooked into a future, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you know what happens when people that do that stuff? They come back.
Yep.
Mhm.
That'll boomerang back for us in the future.
Mhm.
There's no doubt about it.
No doubt about it. Well, thank you very much for your monthly report, Chief. We have engaged in Investigation Division, Lieutenant Solik. Anybody have any comments on that?
Is there an update on the motorcycle accident in front of Stop and Shop? Any update on that?
So I gotta tell you, that really has turned into a lot of work
Yeah.
on that. The traffic investigation units put a lot of work into that. We've had a lot of discussions about it. And one of the things that would have made this case a lot easier is if we had our own flat cameras.
But we
set up.
will soon.
Yeah. Because we're relying on other people's data, and there were none in position where this vehicle left and came in from town, which we will correct that when our flock is up. However, having said that, we were able to, with the press releases we sent out, we were able to develop information and get some additional camera view from the Stop and Shop Plaza that we never knew existed and no one told us existed.
Do you know how long that camera's been there?
The camera's been there for a while, but it's not a camera they would normally use for stuff. But one of their people recognized, hey, we actually have a really good camera facing there. And they went back and reviewed it and they captured the car.
Yeah.
And we got the plate off it.
You did?
And that person has declined to speak to us, which is okay.
They lured up.
Because now we know who they are and we can continue that investigation. And it's kind of an interesting dynamic of that crash and how it happened and why the vehicle struck was the vehicle struck and not the vehicle that was obstructing the actual roadway. But in any case, we're looking pretty good. And I forget that he is in charge of the accident reconstruction team. So perhaps
She
on
actually
this,
came in with her lawyer.
did she?
Yeah, she
Oh,
came
okay.
in with her lawyer and was interviewed,
Oh,
and so.
Okay. All right.
So we've identified the operator and not contact.
So yeah, we're moving along pretty good with that one.
thank you.
I have a curiosity question for you on page 2. Apparently 1980, Berlin Turnpike Sergeant Schreiner investigated the theft of Volvo loaders valued at $200,000. Through investigative measures, the stolen loaders were tracked in New York City and ultimately recovered. How did did these things have
Don't they all have
tracking
GPS now?
devices on them or something?
No, well, they have VIN numbers and everything, just like vehicles.
They have trackers,
Yeah,
but you know how they got that vehicle?
Probably don't want to talk
I-
about how we.
No, we shouldn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, so we won't
Yeah.
beat that to death, but
Yeah.
we
Great
made
work.
some
by the-
advances.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, there's some
Well,
outside
how
help.
would you have any advice for equipment owners?
Make
Apple
sure you're,
AirTag.
yeah.
We put
Make
it out
sure you
there.
got
Yeah.
something on your equipment, yeah.
Most of that big equipment has taggers in it.
Mhm. Yeah, because it's so expensive, you know.
That was my question.
Mr. Chair.
I'm looking for advice.
That was a very interesting case.
Yes.
I just want to highlight a great work by the BPD. The first being the suspects who attempted to burglarize the gas station and steal the ATM. And then a second burglary at the Berlin Pit stop gas station there. And reading in red, I love to read. All three suspects have been arrested for both cases. That's music to my ears. So great job by the detectives and
Yeah.
LT Solik and leading that. Additionally, the last one on that page, an arrest warrant's forthcoming for the CVS pharmacy incident where there was a purse snatching. Again, the fact that we've identified the person and they're hopefully going to be arrested after a prosecutor hopefully signs it, is again, music to my ears. And then just to reiterate, that Volvo loader, fraudulently stolen there, I think that's a huge win for the town, so.
Very good. Commissioner
And it's
Zeller?
nice to see the compliance checks again. I feel like we haven't seen that in years, but I know it's a staffing thing, but it's good. It's nice to see that
It's
again.
nice to have the staffing to do these
Yeah,
things.
and then the press releases, I think, helps the town to see that too, so.
Yeah.
Staffing is
that.
Oh, yeah.
outstanding, and we have an officer in the bureau right now that is really focused on interagency communication, and that's what developed information on that case and how we.
That whole intelligence-led policing avenue that we
Yeah,
really shifted into is paying off.
it's paying off for sure. I love to see not just the case, but someone arrested for it too, right? Because
Yeah.
at the end of every one of these writings is a victim, so.
That's right. Very good. Moving on to, do we have anything on the youth officer report? That would be under,
A lot of cases,
Mhm.
a lot of which are THC related, so
Mhm.
something of note.
Kind of the reason why we're doing our compliance checks, right?
And interesting that a lot are in middle school age. That we're seeing more and more
Yeah,
THC in the
and-
middle school, and
I would also point out, you see that the JRB is getting more
Yes.
cases too.
thank you.
For a while, they weren't getting anything. So, that we have to.
Yes, no, important.
so the vaping thing is really out of control with these kids.
The edibles.
They can just go in the store and buy it if the people just sell it.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. You know,
I hadn't been in mobile in a while on the Trimble Highway. I went the other day. I was like, oh, that shit's just right there.
Mhm.
Like,
It's not even behind the
Yeah, it's
register. You
not.
can walk up
Grab
to it. In
it.
fact, yeah.
Yeah, you can't get baby formula.
But you
Get that.
It's just sad when it's young, middle school age kids and still develop mentally, they're not.
Yeah, they're vaping. It's-
And I
Well-
think a lot of parents don't know, because I think that, at least what I'm saying is that the parents think they have till high school. And because it's so available and accessible, kids are trying it earlier. And I wish there was a way we could get some of that, the DARE work out to parents as well, because it is much younger.
Well, it's not in
parents
this
than
month's
people.
packet, but you probably see something coming in next month's packet about we've been meeting with the new town manager, social services, the Central Connecticut Health. We've got that opioid money. We're starting to put we have money coming in from the opioid settlement, and we're really on top of the enforcement end of it. We decided that a two-pronged focus of more education end of it.
Yeah.
And at a younger age group. And I know the school superintendent's involved with this too, and we know that always creates some angst for some families, so we're treading lightly in that area. And then we have officers that are getting involved in a more proactive way of dealing with identifying who needs services to help with the addiction coaches and stuff like that, which Berlin is really gonna be like the focal point in that Central Connecticut Health District
Mhm.
thing. So we started doing it under the town manager when Arosha was here. Then we had an interim town manager, so it kind of fell by the wayside. But in the meantime, we're still getting money, and the
Mhm.
money's coming in, so we have to put some money in. We hardly even touch the money, and we met last week. I have a meeting tomorrow. I think there's one next week too, so we're really ramping up, and we're doing the enforcement end of it, but we're also going to be involved in the education part. And then we've also looked at doing some other things in the summer to try and get more than just education stuff, guest speakers and all that too. And it all ties into that very successful One Book, One Berlin program that was the high school, or excuse me, the school system, social services, us, and the library. The library just got a major award for that success of that program, and people don't realize. I actually, I'm gonna hand you something when you walk out tonight for you to look at. It's a article I wrote to have put into Police Chief Magazine, and I'm submitting it, and it
Sorry.
talks about what we did and how this anxious generation thing that we've been talking about for 7 months here is working in the police department too. And it has to do with generational gaps. My article is about building bridges and generational gaps. So I rough draft it. You guys can read it. I'm gonna give it to you for your walkout tonight. It's kind of long, but I have to edit it down 500 words according to Police Chief Magazine, but it'll be in there too. And again, what is it? It's Berlin being a lead.
Yeah.
Instead of being a follower, being a leaders on these things. So.
Well, I mean, when you have these workshops at the school for the kids, you get somebody to talk to them from the hospital. I know having a daughter in medical field, that there are 30-year-olds needing a new set of lungs from vaping.
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
It's bad, and it really should be. We had someone in the medical field that could come in and speak to them.
Well, I'm sure that's part of it because we've got different people that we're putting together. They're gonna do a couple like, I don't want to call them fairs because that makes it sound like it's celebratory, but it's basically a awareness day or whatever. Yeah.
So good, and I think it's helpful too when the police have contact with families with this, you know, and what in social service, sometimes the families that you need to get involved aren't always the families that come to these events. So when police have contact, it's a way to spread the word and get other families.
And we have two
present with things. I
officers
think
that
that's helpful.
have personally been affected by the opioid crisis. And they're gonna be taking the lead on this with us and as representatives, and also they wanted to get involved with this, which is great. So it's an excellent collaborative effort. You're gonna see some things coming up, especially once school gets out.
Mhm.
When the kids are kind of like running around in the summer if they don't have jobs and stuff.
Very good. Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
That'll be a next month's report.
Moving on to Lieutenant Michael Job's report. Anybody have any questions on that report?
I'd just like to point out that at the end of the CAT report, Officer Monsante's CAT report, it has trainings attended in March. We were duplicating our work between myself and her, so that's gonna be in her report from now on. I won't do a separate. So all the trainings are already included here, so there was no point in doing two.
We can move on, I suppose. Anything with the SRO permits, CAT report / community relations SRO, any comments on that? By any of the commissioners or and staff? Anything that anybody would like to comment?
Just that our CAT officer is really starting, that whole idea of doing 3 things in that one role is starting to pan out. It's taken some time, but she's phenomenal no matter what she does right now, so. Yeah, and now we have young officers that are starting to emulate that, and that's the idea. Plant the seed and then make some others. We're gonna be, it's not in here, but we're gonna be revisiting our community relations team. We had that for a while and then it kind of fell by the wayside after COVID and all. And we'll try and create some more part-time additional duty CAT officers. And I know a couple of things that I've talked about with Lieutenant Jobs past 2 weeks, reinvigorating a neighborhood watch, and more of our community relations type stuff. I did report today at the top managers meeting this morning that we're gonna be doing a 1-week program in August. We're not sure which week yet, where we take 11 to 14-year-old youth and we're gonna run a 1-week mini Citizens Police Academy, age appropriate. Because that tween group can be tough, you know, and this, we'll do that. This will be the first time we do it. I think it'll be successful in this town. That's also that group that rides the bikes, and we have lots of issues sometimes with that group. So if we can get them off the street for a week, and maybe that could be a feeder program to other things.
Oh, very good. That's very good. Good news. Any of the commissioners, any other commissioners have any concerns or with the youth officer report? We're good. All right, moving on to Patrol Operations Division, Lieutenant Martin. I noticed that at the top of the employee recognition, Officer Carrera had observed a gray Honda Accord traveling on Route 5 with no front place. The vehicle was engaged in what appeared to be attempts to evade the police car, even though no lights or siren had been activated. This suspect vehicle then pulled into Dunkin' Donuts, where it was found to be misused. The 20-year-old operator exited. Immediately, he was confronted by Officer Carrera. After refusing to hand Officer Carrera the keys, he pulled away and refused to cooperate with a pat down for weapons. The male then resisted Carrera's attempt to detain him and eventually broke away, but Carrera was able to run him down on ramp C, where he was taken into custody. During a search of the vehicle, firearm was found under the driver's seat, and later determined to be reported stolen. The suspect was arrested on multiple charges and was held on $100,000 serious firearms. That's good, great work. I just I like the kudos on that.
Anytime you can get a gun off a bad guy, it's great.
It's a good day, right?
Well, that and the 2 juveniles we apprehended trying to break into the car at Hubbard School. Break into the car at Hubbard School. But all sorts of other vehicle activities up.
Just to note, those juveniles were not Berlin.
No.
And so any other commissioners have anything they would like to say? The other officers here have done a good job. Go ahead, Commissioner Gino.
So I just want to summarize in 30 seconds or less the amazing work by the names that we keep seeing repeated over and over again on these, it seems like. Officer Correa, Bennett, LaJoy, Johnson, Clark, just excellent work by all of them. We keep seeing their name over and over again, and I know that by mistake, evidenced by their hard work. But then when you point to the motor vehicle activity, I think you underscored how impressive I think it is. Just for the record, it's 476 total traffic stops, 5 DUIs for the month. That's a lot. The 476 is a massive increase from what we've been seeing since the start of the year. And I credit that to the command at Berlin PD and the lieutenant. So I think you guys are doing a great job in that. I just implore you to keep the troops happy and keep doing the right things that you're doing. And
I can't promise every month's gonna be that high, but
yeah.
we certainly.
Well, this is the standard now.
Yeah.
So good luck. Would this be the time? Is this your report, the overtime as well? Is that, it's in the same?
I included.
So.
I think Drew has a more accurate number that he gets in binder.
Yeah, so just a little concerned, hoping you guys could maybe touch upon the overtime usage on the last page of the packet. We're looking at $19,700 in overtime for sick. And then 5,200 in BPD vacation. I understand.
Some of that is, one of the sergeants, actually, both of the sergeants that were out,
Yeah.
neither one was workman's comp. So all that time out was sick time. And we're replacing that at a sergeant's rate. So it really kind of inflates those numbers. And then prior to that, we had another sergeant that was out, also on a non-work related injury. And that's really, it's really bumped up our number. And then to have 2 sergeants out at the same time is.
So our total.
It makes it look like we're having a sick time problem, but we're really not.
Yeah, and that's why I asked early, there's still
Yep,
2
Right.
sergeants,
So,
yeah.
Most of that, and they're patrol sergeants, and they have to be back.
And sometimes it's situations out of your control, but obviously you can't control this.
Yeah, because 2 of those sergeants were planning on pushing these things off. And one actually did push it off as far as he could, and then finally the doctor said, look, if you don't do this now, you're gonna have a permanent disability, so.
In looking at it, we have 27% of our budget remaining for overtime. And this report is as of, I forget the date, but that would give us about 2.5 months. So do you anticipate we're gonna be under budget, over budget, or right on par?
I think we're gonna be right on the money at this point.
We got 3 months.
However, we're getting in the vacation season too.
Yeah,
So that may put a little bit of a dent in that, which is not a problem because we spent part of the year that we weren't full staffed either. So there'll be some money left in salaries. They can compensate if need be, which is what we normally do at the end of the year. And also bearing in mind that, the finance director's recommendation for overtime was $100,000 more than what
What
we
we
had.
got.
So we may do with 100,000 less. And even with that, we're pretty much, we're staying on track.
And for next
So-
year, remember
We're
gave
still
back-
at
we said
650,
we'd
right?
cut Another
No,
50,000.
we cut 50 out, and that was something that we decided with finance. Because we felt it reasonable that as we get more staffing, we should be able to do less overtime. Now, you can't anticipate stuff like these sergeants being out.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's just a kick in the pants, and there's nothing you can do about it, it just happens. But if all goes well, we should spend less money on overtime next year. So we're hoping to make do with 600 instead of 650.
Got it.
And then we'll evaluate it as we go. And that was kind of something we worked together on, because we also wanted the FOI position, and they said, we want to give you this FOI position. What are your feelings on overtime? And the chief said, I'd be willing to give up 50,000. I think that's reasonable. I think we can work within those limits. And so that's what we did. And they gave us the FOI as well. So.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
think it was
just-
a good compromise between both of us.
Because the total for the month is 50 grand, correct?
48 and 48.9, so about 50 grand.
But we have 20, excuse me, I'm sorry, but we have 27.4% of our budget left. So
Remaining, yes.
remaining, so I mean.
We're
it's
like
very-
right there.
Yeah.
Just be as judicious as you can
Yeah.
within,
Sorry to interrupt. Grant overtime, we have 97% of our budget left. Is that something that we could?
They'll find money from other places to switch in there. They
Yeah.
Okay,
could
that's
take
what I'm
money from
saying.
grants, but
Could
there's
that be-
probably money available in, salaries anyway, so that would.
Yeah, and our grant,
And in our
money,
sick,
we're using that HRR grant, the rural roads grant right
Yeah.
now. So, and that's,
So use some of that,
we
probably,
use that,
I don't
yeah.
know what we're doing off, maybe 50 grand or so. I forget what the actual grant was. but
Yeah,
We'll take a
it
little
was-
chunk out of that.
We wanna, try and
We want to ramp up the
ramp
grants
it up.
again.
Yeah,
and
we're
just
looking at
to
other
be
grants,
clear,
too.
like overtime that comes from grants or overtime for directed patrol type thing, that doesn't come out of this budget, correct? The overtime?
No,
budget?
that's all paid for through the.
Separately,
Yes.
got it.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So this is just patrol type,
Mhm.
patrol related. Got it.
Yeah, so you probably see the category in here, grant overtime.
Yeah.
Technically is counted, but it's not, it doesn't go against our overtime.
Got it. Thank you.
and we spent a lot of that budget.
I have a question on the calendar for use of Manna Bassett. I noticed the Berlin's actually on there for the 24th and 28th. Are we got our new 9mm in, what's the situation?
No, we have our 9mm and we have the optics and they're all mounted. We're still waiting on.
Yeah.
But those are rifle requalification days.
Yeah, that's the right.
24th and 28th are rifles.
Yeah, we're having a real hard time getting the holsters.
Luckily, the company that we bought the guns from is the same place we got the holsters.
Right.
So they're not looking for us to increase backs at 45s because part of the deal is the trade-in of the 45s. They're not looking for the 45s because they know they haven't delivered the holsters
somewhere.
So
We can get holsters one or two at a time, and as we're hiring people, we are giving them the 9mm.
Yes.
And we can get a couple holsters at a time, but we can't get
A lot.
50, you know, it just.
And of course,
No.
buying one or two at a time, the price is more,
Right.
because now you're just buying off at, like Hoffman's or something.
You're not getting a discount.
But I see people coming in,
There's no vendor anywhere.
We're issuing them the new gun, and they're qualifying on that,
Okay.
training on that.
So
But we
And
can't
they're
all
also
train on it
all-
yet,
Price.
because we don't, yeah, they have the holsters.
So we're kind of starting
Yeah.
to transition backwards almost.
Yeah, kind of.
That's how
Yeah.
it works.
Kind of.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah.
the newer guys get all the new stuff.
We don't
Because
wanna
they don't have
train 'em
anything, so
on the
why spend the money
45s
on
as
this?
If they're not gonna, then
And
we
then
have
have to do it all over again on 9s, because 45s is a lot more expensive to fire with ammo. So we would rather them start with the 9, because it costs us less for the ammunition.
and they don't develop any bad
Yeah.
habits.
Right.
Okay, let's move on to the overtime, or to the budget here. Any commissioners have, it's page 10. Any commissioners have any questions?
I have my
Looks like
questions
we got,
answered.
like,
Need to hold.
pretty much 27% is what you were saying.
I jumped ahead, I apologize.
Okay.
So I'm gonna give
We're
you,
all good?
I'm gonna give you a little budget update too as well.
Sure.
But before we do that, if you would indulge me just for a minute, I just wanted to bring a couple issues up real quick. We talked about the whole chief thing earlier, and I just wanted to make one quick point, is that I've been here for like 34 years. And I started off the first couple of years I was in Berlin, then I moved to New Britain for the majority of my time here. I've lived in New Britain. Now I live in Berlin, but I can tell you that my residency outside of New Britain, outside of Berlin and New Britain, didn't affect my loyalty to this department at all. And I can tell you, when I talk to people, I tell them I'm from Berlin. I always have, because I consider I have ownership in this town. This town hired me. They've kept me here for 30+ years. I consider this my home. I appreciate how the citizens of this town have treated this police department. Many is a day I've been in there when somebody comes in and drops off 4 pizzas in the lobby, or the Polish lady that comes in every year with the donuts. You know those Polish donuts?
Portuguese or whatever.
The Portuguese. And I just can't tell you the support that we've gotten in this town. And for me personally, now remember, this is coming from the second in command of the police department. I can tell you that I appreciate everything the chief has done here. And we're getting to the point where he's got not that much long to go. And I'm gonna tell you, this time's gonna pass very quickly. So it's something we need to think about. And I can tell you that we've made more advances in the Berlin Police Department in the years the chief has been here than the 30 years prior that I worked here. And that's no disrespect for the other chiefs. That's the climate we were in. And the other chiefs weren't willing to ask for what we needed. And when Chief McNally got here, we asked for what we needed, and we were moving forward to make sure that this police department is adequate and well-trained and equipped to put us into the future. And it's my humble opinion that these next 4 or 5 years, getting us up to the 28-year mark, are going to be very critical for this department. And a change in leadership is going to be disruptive. The other thing I'm going to tell you, and I don't think anybody really knows how much time the chief spends here on his own time. He's here almost every week, Thursday nights till like 9:30 at night, then has to drive home. He's here on weekends with cadet stuff. We attended that promotional ceremony on Saturday night, you know, and I'm not touting my own horn because I don't work with the cadet program, but I wanted to show them a respect of having both chiefs there that night. And so I went to the award ceremony. The chief always does that stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Chief McNally leaves, I do not know if this program is going to survive, because I do not know who else has the experience, the expertise, and is willing to put the time into managing this cadet program. And I worry that if Chief McNally leaves in a year and a half, whatever it is, I worry that this program is going to fall by the wayside. So that was a personal comment from me, because I know living out of town was an issue, but I tell you what, I lived out of town for many years and I always considered this my home. I appreciate everything the town of Berlin has done for me. And I'm going to leave here when I retire with a big smile on my face and appreciate everything I did while I was here in Berlin. And I appreciate everything the chief does. And if you have the second in command trying to keep the #1 guy there, it's got to tell you something. Because you can see other people might want him to leave so they can move up. And that's not the position I'm in. I think he does a great job. And, you know, at some point you might want to consider keeping him around and making sure these programs have longevity here. So that's my quick thing on that. So thank you for indulging me for a minute. A quick update. We have the money for the flock cameras. We have the money in place for the cars. Our plan for the cars right now, we're a little behind this year because the way the system works is we get some money, and I won't go into this too much, but we get some money from private duty, the town's surcharge, all right? But that money is subtracted from what Chief Simon says we need every year to buy vehicles. And he's been doing about $220 a year, and I got to talk to him a little bit about that, because the cost of the cars and equipping the cars is skyrocketing, and we need to increase that. What we really need is somewhere in the area of about $250,000 a year. We fell behind the 8 ball this year because we bought that pickup truck. We needed one. It was a fantastic deal. We saved like 8-10 grand by buying that pickup when we bought it. But it took money away from buying another police cruiser. So we have money for essentially 2 more cars. We've already ordered in the last town council meeting. Chief Simons put in the request and we have ordered 1 more patrol SUV. We are also going to replace the chief's car this year with an Expedition. We're going to see how that works. It's got a smaller engine than the Chevy that everybody's going with. And basically a lot of police departments, including the state police, are switching to that Tahoe. But it's also got a bigger engine, use more fuel and stuff. So I talked to the chief and we're going to try out an Expedition, which I believe not this year, but I think next year they start making that in a pursuit rated modification of the SUV. So the chief was up for replacement for his car last year. We didn't do it. He said, just give him another patrol car, which we did. But I have to replace this car this year or it's going to be worthless because it's got about 80,000 miles on it. The only way the Detective Bureau gets cars is when we replace the command staff car. And all the other cars are too new. They're not going to replace it for quite a while. So we're going to replace his. We're going to take his car. We're going to send it to the Bureau. I've got one 13-year-old sedan that's in the Bureau right now that was in the shop for like weeks. I'm trying to figure out what the problem was with it. So I'd like to get rid of that car. I would have liked to have money to buy 1 more patrol car this year, but that's not in the cards. I don't know if there's an overage at the end of the year and, you know, there's extra money that the town gets back from budgets and you guys hear about that, then maybe that would be something to advocate, hey, can we get money for 1 more car? But basically what it boils down to is it costs us $70,000 per car. It's about $52,000, $53,000 to buy your basic police sedan like we get. And then it costs somewhere in the area of $20,000 to outfit that car, switch all the lights, the sirens, the wiring and everything to switch those over. So this year we're going to do, we got the pickup truck, we got a patrol car, we're going to get the 1 admin car. And I just want to keep you guys on board because sometimes that topic comes up and I want to make sure you guys, full transparency, you know what we're doing. So somebody asks you, you're informed as to what we're going to do with that. So that's our plan with the cars. Our training account, we were falling behind on the training account because when we hire as many people as we do during the year, it costs a lot of money because the background checks, everything comes out of training. We do the background checks, computer reports that I got to do, the polygraph, the psych, the medical, all that stuff comes out of training. So we got to the end of the year, the police academy, you know, that's like $3,800 a person now. And so we were able to pay all our bills, but we basically zeroed the account out. So they had extra money in another account, which had to do with vacation that they pay out when people retire. We don't expect any. So they transferred $15,000 over in that account to carry us to the rest of the year. It doesn't say training, it says professional development.
I was gonna say, because training.
Professional development is essentially what we call the training account. So we just did another round of interviews and now we're starting the background process and that's why we needed that money. And we're hoping come July, we have a candidate that we can bring forward to you to hire for July for the next one.
When the new budget kicks in.
That takes slot number
Yes.
47.
And then the other thing we're gonna need to hire for is the FOI position. So we're gonna wait for this budget to be officially approved. And then at the top managers meeting this morning, I told the town manager, as soon as that's approved, we really need to meet with HR and finance and figure out how that position is gonna run. And then what we need to do to hire that position and then get going on that. So as far as budgets, we're looking pretty good. Any budget questions or anything?
Yeah, so we're approved for 46 right now, personnel. The town still has to vote on the budget
On the
Right.
29th.
to potentially, hopefully get it.
47.
47, but there
Correct.
still is a
Plus the
chance it
FOI.
could be rescinded from the budget,
Well,
right?
If the
It's
referendum
possible.
fails,
And then
and then they go back on the.
they could take that out as
on,
one of,
They
was it
could.
May 10th or something.
I
No,
doubt
have
they
no
would, but
date,
they
yeah.
could. It's
so
like,
we'll know well before July and.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think they'll take that position. I think they would cut some other stuff first.
Is the FOI position, would that be on the table too, or is that
Well,
definitely?
It's not significant.
Well, everything's technically on the table,
Yeah.
but it's not much money for the FOI position. You're looking at a
Yeah.
part-time position, you know, so I don't.
I mean,
Sure,
the
do we
referendum,
really need that?
if the budget's voted down, it's purely advisory. I think traditionally the Board of Finance has tried to find money, you know, they'll honor the fact that, you know, not a lot of people vote in the referendum, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's why it's voted
It's
down.
it's actually
Right.
interesting we even have this referendum process, but,
Right.
I mean, I guess it's up to us to advocate to keep that position. I mean, look, I mean, cut 50,000, like to your point,
Yeah.
Drew, down to 600,000, I guess, for
Yeah.
overtime. You know.
Yeah.
sections
I
per
don't
game.
see the town touching that
You
position.
know, we went
I
from
really
two,
don't.
asking for 2 new positions down to 1.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, public safeties are.
You know, our ultimate goal was to get to
Nobody's gonna
50,
say
and
anything
and
about
that's
that.
gonna be hard after this year. These have been
Mhm.
hard budget years. The finance
Right.
department did tell us, if you're ever in a position that you were before, I think some of you guys were in that
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
To bring a person
and-
forward.
And you get somebody
Right.
walk in here that's an absolute home run, then come back to us and we'll talk about it.
George Miller said.
And
Yeah.
if that does happen sometime next year and we're full staff, but someone walks through our door and says, I'm retiring from this other department, I'm fully certified, I live in Berlin or close, but you know, I don't know if some of that would happen.
I would say.
Then we
even-
would bring that to your attention.
I would say even before we have, you know, the interview process with the commission, we should be going in front of because you look, this person's coming through the pipeline. They haven't been before the commission yet, but you know, if all goes well, we're thinking this is gonna, you know, we want to be ready to
Right.
hire that person right then and there.
Well, that would be something we could discuss at the time, because maybe you guys want to meet them and then have
Maybe
someone
meet-
that you.
But
can
you're
have
saying
someone-
go to them and make sure the money.
Is there right
reference
away, so
there
we
before
don't
you
miss
do
the
it, yeah,
opportunity,
yeah.
because as we know, people interview with other departments, but to your point,
Yeah.
Chief, I guess, you know, we should see the person first and, you know.
Well, we have.
And that's only if the situation presents itself.
Yeah, maybe
It
we
might
can,
not.
maybe they can come and, you know, informally, we can meet them or
Right.
something, you know, maybe not a
That,
formal
they
interview.
better be a diamond.
We'd
you know?
have them.
Yeah, right.
Not for nothing, we have their background, and that's usually what we can tell a lot of information, so.
But when will we
Well,
get
we
it?
wouldn't really be doing
Maybe
the
have the
background even
report
at that point. We're just saying
they're
if someone
post
walks through the
certified?
door and.
We still have time.
I'm just trying to figure out a way where,
Time.
where the position is ready to go as soon as they're
Like
hired.
if Alex wants to walk in after he retires from the state. police.
Yeah.
Local resident, right?
We could do
But we
that.
do have, we do have. an open
You look fearful
invitation.
for him at that thought.
We have an open invitation. for the
Yeah.
town- for The
So-
finance board to say, don't wait, just come and make.
Yeah,
the
they
phone
made it
calls.
clear at that meeting.
Yeah.
So we could always ask, and then if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, if something like that came up, then we would let you guys know, and
Mhm.
we'll see where we want to go from there, but budget wise, I think we're looking pretty good.
Thank you very much. Let's move on to freedom of information. My goodness, we couldn't be hiring somebody with that soon enough.
I was gonna say this list is getting worse every month.
Yes.
The numbers coming in every day now,
Insane.
and the stuff they're asking for. The lawyers and the law firms, they're pretty set, but we got people on several on fishing expeditions. And,
It's police cam news. What is that?
So, we've had a lot of people interested in the Correa arrest, and they've been
Yeah.
asking us for that case. Right now, it's an open investigation in court, so we can't, FOI does not allow us to.
Right.
But the problem is with FOIs is anybody can come in here and ask for that stuff. Even if they are a company or a news agency, or it doesn't matter who they are, we can't say you can't have it. So really anybody can request that stuff. So you might see some odds, some attorney's offices, some,
My favorite's the one from 1970.
Yeah, all reports from 19, having to do with him or all reports?
But what's with all?
March
the-
25th.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
And the one above it, sorry, March 24th.
on Nikisha,
Yeah, is that all incident reports
I,
for the whole month or just her? Like,
I'll tell you what I did. I looked up who Nikisha Burke is. She's a independent, reporter.
Oh, nice.
And she's been FOIing law enforcement agencies all over the country. Now she's in Connecticut, hitting all the agencies here. I don't know what she's writing,
She picks random months.
but she's not from Connecticut, but yeah, she's looking for all the incident reports,
That's insane.
That's what it is.
and it's everything. I read what she wrote, and clearly somebody else is working with her on this, but she's a young girl, just out of college. This is a big thing she's doing.
Wonderful.
Normally I don't look at them, but when that came through, the girls and records said, hey, this person sent this letter here, you might wanna look at it. I looked at it, I said, well, let me see who this is, cause you see these other people, they're from law officers, you know where they are and all, but I looked it up and I said, oh. I was thinking maybe he was gonna be like a sovereign citizen or something. We've had some people in this area, your First Amendment auditors hitting the other agencies. They've come here, but because we don't have a front window person, they get flustered and they leave, which is probably good for us. We don't have to deal with them like the other agencies around us are dealing with them. And they would come in here and do stuff like this too. They're always looking to doxy people or something. All right.
Well, so moving on, we have, the last item for the most part was the post, this is very interesting. I was looking through this. We have some real accomplishments here.
So the kids do this. This is the kids writing this, putting the information in, they make up this form. The only thing that I included was, the quick flyer that we printed out right before Drew and I went over to, their award ceremony. Like I said, the awards thing went good. Next year it'll be bigger and better with what we see, what the kids are doing.
This is amazing.
Yeah. Okay, and you're gonna see they're gonna be out, soliciting for funds, their academy, $710 a head this year. So they're gonna start their
When does that have
fundraising.
to come in by?
All the money has to be in by July 1st, I think, for that.
How much do we have or anything?
So what we'll do is they will do some fundraisers, see how much money they get. And last year we were able to split between money that they had on hand and we had some big donations come in. I don't know, everybody's doing it because the price is going up. I see the other programs throughout Connecticut are all advertising things like car washes, tag sales. Our kids are gonna be doing a bake sale. I'm not sure what days, but I think they're doing a bake sale over.
750 times how many?
Oh, it could be about $7 grand, $8 grand.
I think it costs us a little more than that. I think
It costs more than that, yeah.
And
I think we have like 10, 12 kids. What happens is if they go 1 year and it's a 5-year program and they're successful, they want to go back the next year. We are trying, I sit on the board of directors for the organization that oversees us, and we are trying to get some big corporate sponsorships to help offset the cost, because what we're paying for is room and board at Westfield State University up in Mass, and that was gonna be $750. We were able to stay at $710, but the contracts are 3-year contracts and it's gonna go up. If we have one family of 3 kids, there's no way the family's gonna dish out $2,100 to send all 3 of their kids, but their 3 kids are some of our top cadets. So last year we were able to get 2 people to do a sponsorship. So they paid for one of their kids and half of a kid, and then sponsors paid for the half a kid and the other kid. That's kind of a rare thing usually. And then we try to if we can get half. One of the things I've learned over the years, if you don't get anything, if we were to get somebody say, hey, I'll cover the whole bill, which some people might want to do, I would still charge the kids, because if you don't charge kids for things, they decide the day before, I'm not coming. And then you lose your money. Yeah. So we have we're also sponsoring their Stations Day event, which is their big competition. It used to be at the Academy, and it's outgrown the Academy. The Lions have offered the fairgrounds. We have a relationship with the Lions, a phenomenal relationship with the Lions Club. And they're gonna have about 400 to 450 cadets there and about 100 police officers on Saturday, May 3rd. And it's a composition, competitive. Each team, some agencies have more than one team, but we have a team no more than 12. So we'll pick our 12 best cadets to compete. They go from station to station, compete. Last year, we won it all, and we were the #1 post in the state, which was a shocker to everybody. So now you're on the top of now we're on the top of the podium, and everybody's trying to knock us down.
I got the bar for that too.
That's the problem. And but we enjoy our relationship with the Lions Club. I can't speak enough about the first. We do a tactical thing over there in the fall. And they saw how much we paid for just feeding our attendees, and that was a much smaller, less than 250 people. And the Lions came out and said, listen, we'll feed your kids. They want to cook. It's their property. They like it. They're involved. We use them as role players, and our organization gives them the money to buy the food and stuff like that. And they do it. It's great. And what happens is, it really has put Berlin, who is centrally located in the state, on the map for all these
Sure.
types of events. It's a big deal for us. And as long as our kids are competitive, because nobody wants to lose, or at least I don't want to lose. You know, but I think we'll do good. I'm fortunate that I get to see all the other programs. We all have social media, and they're like New Milford and Hartford and Middletown's guy called me today and it's like, can you send me your training program on robbery response? And I'm like, I'll send you one, but I'm not sending you the good one. Stuff like that. So, and it is, and you know, yeah. So that's some of the stuff that we're doing, and the officers have really they're putting a lot of time in this month to get them ready for competition. You'll see the kids out fundraising. I know they're doing the flags for the cemetery coming up, and they're starting to get busy. As soon as the other nonprofit events happen in town, they start getting called. Everybody wants to use the cadets to help with parking, or just
If you don't mind, could you text the commissioners when a fundraiser event's going on, just so we're.
Yeah, last year I gave you guys a notice or something. We used a QR code, but
Does this Venmo thing work too?
you know what?
I try it works, but if we
Did
don't.
it?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, I don't know.
Does it actually go somewhere if I send money?
I don't.
It goes somewhere. It
Well, it
just-
says, BP.
Is it the right where?
It says BPD
Exactly.
cadets.
Yeah, that would be the.
I would think it probably goes to their line, but I would say. I don't know if I don't use those Venmo things. I'm old school. I'd write a check and then I have a receipt, something like that. A Venmo, yeah.
It's a check.
With a check, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, but I know that they're gonna have a car wash coming up and they're doing the bake sale. And something that Drew said earlier about the community, and I actually alluded to it in my report. This agency, this department, this town has a phenomenal symbiotic relationship with its community. And that doesn't happen overnight. You read that paragraph, and when I wrote that, that's what I was referring to. It only takes one bad thing to set back 10 good things. And we've been really trying to get our good stuff out there. This morning at the top managers meeting, the new town manager, Ryan Curley, and Drew and I were sitting there. He said, we need to get our wins out there more in the public. And we've been doing that for about a year now. We're getting our wins out. So they're looking at what we're doing in the PD and telling that to all their other department heads too. People can find things to bitch about all the time. But you gotta let the public know what you're doing that's right. And we're doing that.
You get nothing but praise when you do on Facebook. I see it.
Well, I do get the people that call me and say, hey,
If they're calling you, they're
I
not
feel like
posting
I'm
it.
driving in Ukraine because there's cops everywhere stopping everybody. I got that call.
But
So,
again, they're not
yeah.
posting it. They may have concerns, but they're handling it person to person.
Yeah,
And the wins are getting a lot of accolades. I think
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah.
We gotta keep
Really
putting the wins.
and the
out
word
there.
is getting out, that our officers are very serious about keeping the community safe among the bad guys. And that's important too. We don't want the bad guys to think that this is a small town. This isn't Mayberry RFD anymore, we're doing our due diligence.
That's wonderful.
So,
Moving on to new business, I
I'll
don't
look
believe
into
we
this.
have.
yeah, we gotta check on that.
I'll look into this and
One
see
quick
where
thing.
that goes. I'm sure it's our account, but I just want to verify.
Controls it.
We know what account it goes into. Yeah.
Yeah,
Adult
Good
control.
idea.
Yeah.
Commissioner
One quick thing, chief, I requested a copy of the union contract. Can you get that?
you didn't get it?
Didn't I send that to everybody?
I don't have access to my email. I spoke with the director and he said, because I already have Outlook, I can't create a second account.
Oh, you know what? I have the same problem with my
You can't on your
Westcon
phone.
account.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
can't do it on your phone. You can do it on a computer. I had to do the same thing because they wanted me to get rid of my Westcon account. It took the state like a year to get me straightened out
Yeah.
on this.
I do
have
it
that
on my-
Yeah.
It's not on mine.
I don't
Yeah,
have
if
a
it's a
laptop.
public
I
safety
don't have a
type
computer.
email,
I'll
it's
get you.
limited.
I get you.
like for like
You
my
can do it
planning
from
and
your
zoning stuff, I have to go on.
On my department phone, I have,
They
in
could
my
use
personal
laptops.
phone, I have work.
Right, so
Yeah,
that's
So
why
I
yeah,
can't
it's
just
browser,
connect
so you
around.
have to have a laptop or some kind of tablet.
Like they've got
Yeah.
I can do both.
I don't have a laptop. I have my kid's iPad.
So you can't open up the Outlook that you were assigned here in the email.
I spoke with the director, I think his name is Brian or something, and then he referred me to someone else, his underling underneath
You
him.
need
and
to speak to Oscar. Oscar's out right now
He's out,
on
yeah.
injury, on
Dave's really
surgery.
good too.
This guy Dave is really good
So,
too.
no, I spoke to Dave then, he's the director, and
No,
then
he-
No, Brian's the
No,
director.
Brian's the director.
Yeah.
Dave is the.
he
guy.
referred me to Dave then.
What's Dave's last name?
Okay, commissioners, we good?
Yeah, if you could print it or whatever.
Yeah, I get it to you.
Yeah, well, let's move on. We have, any reason to go into executive session?
Absolutely not.
Wonderful. Okay, we good. So I need,
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. How's that?
Question for you.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if it's